Hello, welcome back to the final portion of Alternative Investing with Ken Craig. Ken, before the break, we had our whiteboard and we were digging into some numbers. We were digging how it can be done. But I know that and I'll use that comparison again of a rental property and alternative investing, that people go in there and they say, well, you know, my spreadsheet says I'm going to make this and that. They do their due diligence. They drive around. They make sure that tenant profiles are good. They do that. How is it that you know your services or an alternative investor, obviously you're getting paid for something, but explain a little bit more about how you guys do your due diligence so that people investing, they feel secure, they feel like, well, you know what, I'm getting my money's worth here.
Yeah, and I've talked about this a couple times already through the show, but I really want to drive home to everybody watching that you want to talk to somebody who's not biased to one product or one investment over the other. So for example, if you meet somebody from one investment company, we'll call it investment company A, and then you meet somebody else from investment company B, well, guess which one they're going to tell you is best? Well, if they work for investment company A, investment company A is the best thing since sliced bread, right? If it's company B, it is now the best thing. And so how do we as clients and how do we as investors try to figure out, you know, really what makes most sense for us? Should it be A? Should it be B? Should it be A and B and some is C, which I didn't know about, right?
Right.
And so that's where we start to add value for our investors, is that we're that neutral source in the middle that's going to say, okay, well, one is the only stuff that we're going to show you is stuff that we've spent a tremendous amount of time doing due diligence on.
Okay.
So we have a team through our partners at Pennant Capital Partners that have 3 CFAs and 4 portfolio managers, and day in, day out, they do nothing but due diligence. They specialize in ripping apart these types of projects, these real estate deals, to these factoring, to whatever it may be, and ensuring that these are products of quality based on the milestones that we're looking for. So we want capital preservation, number one. We want to see that the investment company is aligned with our investors, meaning that they only make money if our investors make money. We want to see that they've got a good track record in place. We want to see that they do business with integrity.
Right.
These types of things. And once we go through that entire list, and it's a checklist that I could go on for hours talking about, only then is it going to be something that you're going to see as an investor.
I know that a lot of investors out there, I consider them smart people. All the people watching the show, I know you're smart people because you're investing in real estate, and I personally think it's the best investment out there. If they were, and some of them, meaning that they know how to read a spreadsheet, they know how to read a balance sheet because they're more active. People that buy rental property, they're way more active in the market than your regular guy that has a CFP that's sort of running his thing. If someone came to you and says, you know what, I see that you're offering this kind of development. Can I see some of those numbers? Is that kind of stuff open, or is it just, well, here's the summary? No, you know, we can't see what's behind that summary. Is that possible?
Yeah, it's full disclosure. Transparency is everything behind these. And if you're investing and you're just seeing a one page and that's all you can get, run.
Right.
You want to run. You want to see everything. So what's it costing? Where is the money going? How are people getting paid? That's offered through a couple different ways. Okay. So if it's what we call a syndicate mortgage, well, it's offered through mortgage documentation, which is going to explain all of this. In the exempt market, a licensed representative can show you what's called an offering memorandum. Don't get too tied up with, but the documents are there. Okay. And essentially, both through the exempt market and through the syndicate mortgage side of things, you can get all the information that you need. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Just ask as many as you need. And there's no stupid question. Just ask it. And so you feel comfortable with what you're doing.
Excellent. So, speaking of which, if you have any questions for Ken, you can certainly call in. I know we're getting close on time, but give us a call. We'd like to get to help you out on that because I know it's a pretty complex thing. That you mentioned offering memorandums, you mentioned exempt market, and you're right. We want to keep it simplified. So, and I'd like to say, well, the mortgage is a debt placement. And a lot of offering memorandums are an equity placement, meaning that they're 2 different structures. Do you offer both? Meaning that, what if someone says, look, I want to be, I know that the mortgage is like a partner, but what if I don't want an interest rate? I want to forego the interest rate. I want a bigger piece of the pie. Is that possible?
Yes, there is. and with that comes greater risk, right? And,
sure.
And we have investments on a different risk spectrum. And I think you've got to, again, we're going to look at what your risk tolerance is. We're going to look at what makes sense for you, what's going to help you achieve your goals. Now, again, say more risk just because a mortgage is one of the most solidified ways to lend against money.
That's why banks love them.
Real estate, excuse me. But there is much more upside potential, meaning greater return possibilities if we have an equity stake in it as well. Right?
Yeah, I mean, because again, going back to that, people who buy rental property, I mean, they're more risk. They take a chance. They end up buying rental property.
Yep.
So some of them might say, you know what, I've done well in rental property. I want to sell all my rental property. I now want to partner big on a development. Can they do that with you? And they say, I want to see the construction pro formas. I want to see all that kind of paper.
Yeah, that's all available. It always is. On any project that we get involved with, the investor can see top to bottom why we think it's a good investment. And in fact, we're governed by legislation in National Instrument 31103, I think it is, on the exempt market side. It says we have to do that. Right. I mean, disclosure, disclosure, disclosure.
Now, I know that we talked about, the alternative market in general, but when someone invests in an alternative market, they're not necessarily investing in a stock. Can you explain the difference between a stock and a share in a investment? Is there a big difference? Like,
well,
or is that too complex? Try to keep it simple.
It's not really. It's not. If you're buying a share in the exempt market, it just means that you're buying a share directly into that investment itself.
Okay.
But typically, what they use is this vehicle called, if it's not a mortgage, is a limited partnership.
Okay, limited partnership.
And you might hear the term LP. Okay. That's thrown around all the time. And it's just a limited partnership. And essentially, they say it's really hard to divide all this stuff up. We don't know how to divide it up. So we're going to take, let's say it was real estate again, and we'll keep on real estate tonight. We're going to take that piece of real estate, we're going to put a circle around it, which is the limited partnership. Okay. If that makes sense. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut that circle up into 150 pieces. So now as investors, we know that 150 pieces are there to be able to buy. It doesn't matter which piece you buy because it all owns it as a whole. Okay. But it's just a way to break up the investment. Because you don't want one person buys a door and the other people buy the windows, and it doesn't work that way. Say, let's just group it all together in this limited partnership. It's not complicated. It's just a structure that they use to make that investment.
Now, so instead of like when people buy a share on the TSX, or sorry, a stock on the TSX, they get a piece of paper that says they own, XYZ company. What do they get? So you say limited partnership. Does a limited partnership own the land? They own everything, and so what do they own?
They own a share certificate, but they own, essentially what they own is the limited partnership. And what the limited partnership owns is whatever the asset is in there. Maybe it's the building.
So it's secured. It's secured by an asset.
It's kind of one and the same. It really is. It's almost like it being directly in there. You just need a vehicle or a structure, and this is what this LP is called, this limited partnership, to be able to do that. The only thing that limited partnership owns is the property. So they're one and the same. It's just so that you can divide the pie up and make it easier for investors to say, I own this much.
Got it. Now, you're touching on so many things. I'm sure people, again, have questions, but is there a way that they can, I think there's a seminar coming up, is it?
We have a seminar coming up tomorrow evening.
Tomorrow evening?
Yeah.
At the Parkway, I think it is.
That's correct.
Leslie and 7.
Thank you very much.
The old Sheridan.
Yes, and we were discussing it earlier, and I'm from Ottawa, right? So knowing the area a little bit better. But yes, I encourage you to come.
Sure.
What we do at these seminars is it's not your timeshare presentation and we bar the doors shut. No, sure. It's an information session.
Okay.
It's a free information session to learn more about alternative investments. Be able to meet some of our representatives. I won't be able to be there tomorrow. Well, maybe I will be, but our representatives will be there.
Sure.
And you can ask them as many questions as you want about alternative investments. And really what we're showing you is how to better level the playing field and how we can better quarterback your finances into the future.
So it's like they can, again, they can't go through a bank. Some financial planners might have this information, but really the difficulty is finding an alternative investment and getting the resources. I mean, again, starting right back from the beginning of the show, where does someone go to get this kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, go to our website. A great place to start is altaviewfinancial.com.
Okay.
You can get on there. We've got a calendar of events that are going on, or just pick up the phone and call. Okay. And somebody can help from there.
Now, before we go close down, I know that a lot of people say, well, okay, all our money is pooled into a limited partnership. Do I have a say now I own a share of this limited partnership. Do I have a say, or is there another structure that actually runs the limited partnership?
You have it's generally the company itself is going to be called a general partner.
Okay.
Right? So we talked about Fortress. We use them as an example, but that's just one of the many products we carry. They're going to make a lot of the day-to-day decisions. Actually, they're going to make all of the day-to-day decisions.
But they're the experts, technically. That's what we're investing in, right?
We want them to make the decisions. Right. It doesn't want to be us. And heck, if you had 100 people trying to do it, it'd be quite complicated, right? So yes, we let them make the decisions on a day-to-day. But if it comes to some of the major things, should we sell or not sell, or if something changed outside of what was in that clearly described framework that you got started with, that you're going to look at before you invest, right?
Right.
If it's anything outside of that, then they do a kind of a group vote, and if the majority of people think yes, then they move that direction. So it's rarely that anything like that ever happens, though.
But it's also like, you're involved in real estate. You're involved in to some degree, some decision making, the important ones.
Sure.
But the day to day, which I'll relate it to owning a property. You don't have to go fix toilets. You don't have to change that. You don't have to take a hammer and build and pour concrete. Nope. You're letting all that happen. But listen, we've talked about so much. I could go on forever. Ken, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
For more information, you can hear Ken and or some of his advisors tomorrow night at the Parkway, Thursday. And we'll see you next week on Your Money in Real Estate.